Hi Milkers, welcome back to Tres Leches, the podcast where three Latina friends tell stories, unpack identity, and get real about everything from pop culture to politics.
It's sweet, it's a little messy, and always drenched in milk.
3 kinds of milk, in fact.
And the best part is, you can enjoy our milk even if you're lactose intolerant.
Rate, like, subscribe, and share with someone who gets it. Or needs to.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi, Johnny.
Hi, welcome back to Tres Leches, everybody.
Welcome to a nice Good Morning America Tres Leches.
For those of you, the vibes already of this episode are very similar to the Fire Island Carrie Bradshaw episode
Oh my gosh.
from last year when voices were not really available to us. Although today I feel maybe the most alive, alert, enthusiastic of the three, which is rare.
It's funny how that, it's just...
'Cause I didn't go out late last night. We just went out during the day.
How was that? What did you do?
It was good. It was good. So it was Pride. You'll be well into the month of July. Almost at Thanksgiving by the time you listen to this, but and we just got over Pride weekend here in New York City, and I ended up buying tickets through someone who was selling them because I wanted something. My boyfriend Jay.
That's so weird.
Was here.
That's how you buy tickets by
Exactly.
someone selling.
Well, instead of buying, everything was sold out, so I didn't want to buy it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It was a resale situation, and they were selling them for cheaper. So I just bought tickets to Ty Sunderland's Thai tea, which was like a little bit more epic. It's a $3 bill. It's a party that happens on Sundays throughout the summer, but it's a little bit more super duper duper turned up for Pride. And I thought that would be a good, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl way to introduce my boyfriend to New York City Pride, he's never done it.
Oh.
He's never been here for Gay Pride. So we did like a very traditional, went to the parade, perused.
Oh, you love doing that.
Yes. Had a lovely time. And then we went to Brooklyn and we had a great time. When we arrived at $3 bill, there were maybe 15 people there.
Ooh, she got the party started.
Empty. It was 4:00. I thought, okay.
Before just waking
it
up
was
from
maybe
the night
maybe it was
before.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, that's crazy, actually.
I just thought it was going to be more packed. And then it got crazy within an hour. It was like,
Yeah.
the floodgates really opened, but we had a great time. But the best part of yesterday, okay, so Jay was kind of hangry because it took me forever to get ready, and he doesn't like vodka, and all I had here to drink was vodka, and I like pre-gamed with a big old, I had saved a Taco Bell cup, like the big one.
Oh my God.
Like I had
Yes.
saved
Such
it
a Juan thing.
for just this very thing. And so I filled it with vodka, and he was kind of like, and he was hungry, and he didn't want to drink what I had to drink. So we got to Union Square, and I was like, vamos resolver. Let's see what the world has to offer us. 2 empanadas right away, 2 to the throat.
Wow.
And then there was a lady, okay, Miss girl, Miss who do you think you are, with her cooler, selling drinks. They have like guava,
Yes,
lime, coconut, rum, whatever she was selling
whatever.
them. Yeah, exactly. And she was, I loved her, and she was so expressive. She knew immediately how to sell to any person who went up to her. She knew exactly how to change the dialogue.
Ooh.
So immediately I get up there, and she was like, "Hola, papi, what do you need?" And she's really putting it on thick. And so I'm like, "Oh, so what?" I get her card because the drinks were amazing. It was for $16. It was a big thing like that with Patron and fresh guava juice. I mean, amazing.
This is Union Square?
Union Square. Out of her cooler.
I need her address.
Yes. Well, I have her card
Even better.
because I wanted to do my wedding. And and I asked her what her name was, and she's like, "My name is Bunny." And I'm like, "All right, Bunny."
Okay,
And she
I'll
goes,
pop.
"What's your name?" And I goes, "My name is Juan." And she goes, "Oh, well, my legal name, my government name is Juanita." And I said, "Okay."
Oh my God, please.
I love nothing more than a Black American woman named Juanita. To me, that is just there's such synergy there. I don't know why I love it. I love it. Also, I love when like an African American man, non-Hispanic, is named Jesus.
Yeah.
I've seen that a few times, and I just adore that.
Hearing you say Jesus like that.
Jesus.
Me in
Jesus,
Madrid being
Jesus.
like, oh, it's my first time in Madrid. This is
Oh
gonna
my
be
God.
so-
Can you imagine?
Oh my God. Oh,
it's either catnip for some Spanish people, or they're like, oh God, like bless
Madrid?
him.
Yeah, it's pretty
Madrid, you know?
You'll be deep
Johnny,
in Madrid when this episode airs, honey.
Yes, honey, I will. And I hope that Madrid is
deep in you.
Correct.
I have a feeling it might. I have a feeling it might be that Brussels or the Netherlands or Sweden or Italy that
Germany.
might be deep inside of you. Germany.
Yeah.
But
Wait, you don't meaning like you don't think like wait, are you saying that like Spain isn't for like the Spanish men aren't for me or something, or you just mean
No, I just think in such a
Yeah.
You know, it tends to be when you go to a play. I don't know. Maybe this is a wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a wrong take. But I feel like if you go to a gay party in X, you maybe don't necessarily hook up with a local.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It's that same feeling of like when you go to Coachella, or even like yesterday, it's Pride in New York. And even if it's not World Pride, like Pride in New York, because it's New York, it's a destination. It's a big deal no matter what. And so like you get the people. You have people coming in from Austin, put a pin in that. And then you have people coming in from, you know, like what you're saying. I met a guy yesterday who was from Germany, and I was like, oh, okay. Australia, like, you know, they make their way over because it's summer and it's actually nice. And they're actually, them kind of like people in couples, they feel so secure because they're like, you know, they're on vacay, or like there's just some sort of security in them, so they're more willing to kind of chat and open the door when it comes to like flirtiness, whereas single people sometimes, maybe this could be a wrong take as well, maybe it's not the same, you know, like it's like when I go to Madrid, I mean, I think I'm the same wherever I go, hostile and then like sheepish, but then I kind of
Hostile
open
and
up.
sheepish is such a lethal combination.
I know, and both of you have experienced both of those things. I don't do it on purpose. It's just, you know, I receive the energy.
It's your trauma response.
It's my trauma response. It really is. But we'll get into that in the next 25 minutes. No, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm excited to go to Madrid. Listeners, I'm going to Madrid in like a few days, and I kind of just decided to do that last week because my show closed. Oh, yeah, we closed last night, guys.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thank
On
you.
a great run.
Thank you. It was really nice. It was an interesting thing because I was talking about it with Sierra, who's in my show, and like we had this luxury.
Sierra Bages,
yes,
former
Little Mermaid,
Christine and Phantom,
and
she
Christine
created
and
the role of
Phantom.
Ariel in
Yes.
Little Mermaid. Very
and she
important.
created the role of in my show, and she was brilliant in it. And that's the name of her character, Johnny.
Got it. Yeah, I know. I figured.
Yeah. Anyway, but we were chatting because we were really grateful. We have this moment when she comes down the stairs, and we always have a little bit of a chat before she goes on stage. And it was always our like 10-second catch up. And there's this feeling of like, wow, you know, you don't really get to do a new work sometimes in New York and have the luxury of like your friends and the New York theater community to come to see you and especially like when it's not on Broadway, where there's a little bit of a different kind of pressure. People are coming because the hope is that it will run, it will be a hit, or like it will last in some way. So there's this like, are you going to win the game, you know, kind of energy. Like you come to watch the tennis players win, and so
yes,
when you're lucky enough to do something, and this is my second off-Broadway show with the same director, which I just clocked right now. Literally same show, closed on Pride. Last time went to battle him, had a great time. Many full circle moments, but like it was so nice to be able to be here in New York and like have like a set run for a month to like do this show. And so there's energetically this way that we knew we were going to possibly close. There was going to be an extension maybe, and that didn't happen. And so I feel very grateful and at peace with the closing. Like I think people were like, how are you doing about it? And I'm like, I feel really good. Like we birthed it, we made this thing, and I got to do a beautiful piece of art that many people were like, oh my God, this, you know, they reacted and received really, really well. And it was a thought starter. So I'm just really happy. And to go from that and be like, guys, sorry, I like Irished out of our little closing thing because I was just like, I gotta go to battle him. Like I want to go do these things.
I love
like,
y'all.
Yeah, I love y'all, but exactly. Who's gonna be there? I know who's gonna be there, so I want to be there. And I don't get to spend time with Joey and John, and so like I wanted to give them a very prideful like event thing because they don't get to do that. Like my friend Joey lives in Miami, for those of you who don't know, and he's one of my best friends and has known Juan also as well since we were in high school. And so there's this like, you know, way that you want to honor them being here again for these big moments. And so I took them to battle him with me, and it was so fierce. I just walked up to Marcus and I was like, hi. He was like, hi. And I was like, I'm usually with Quentin, but like they already went in before me, and or for Justin. And he's like, okay. And he like looks on the list, you know, and like I know what I'm doing, which is just like, you know, just I know I'm not on the list, but it's also like, you know, Quentin and Justin, and you also did this for me last year. And then he's like,
the great
where
Marcus
are you?
Kell.
The great Marcus Kell.
The great Marcus Kell, door mistress and
Extraordinaire.
Yeah, just like I said to Marty last episode, it's like you're a New York institution at this point. I remember when Marcus was, you know, still working the doors at smaller parties, and now she's the girl to know.
She is a girl to, and you know, I have to say, she does it. She is so good at what she does. She's never too cutty, like, unless she has to be. And then there's that iconic video, obviously, of the like, you know, what happened there. But like, at least in my experience, like she honors it. And she, you know, so my name was not on said list.
Yeah.
And then she's like, it's fine, just go. And so she like let me in, and then we like skipped the line. And like, I loved that I got to do that with Joey and John. You know, like they got to see a friend be kind of fierce, and I was just like, work. And we like walked in, and like, you know, it was just giving like, it just was so fun when you say hi to people and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I've been talking way too much.
no,
Which I thought I wouldn't, because I just woke up 2 hours ago.
Well, you're excited.
I am. And I'm so happy to be here to talk to you guys, because I do want to talk about the things we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
I love talking about the things we're going to talk about. You know, I actually, you know, I have to say this, you know, not to put too much emphasis on it, but I love Pride, and I was reminded yesterday, and I think because this year was a little bit more low key. I work Saturday night, and Friday night we went to the Eagle, which was really fun and kind of an impromptu, but not formal in any way. It was just, you know, I went with Ian and Joey and John. I remember that like you can kind of make it whatever you want it to be. You know, in the past, I feel like the last decade, it's always been like, wow, it's the last Pride on Earth, baby. So buckle up and let's go, Lauren Sanchez, to the moon, baby. But I realized that you can kind of choose your own adventure a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. It was nice, and we had a great time. I think Jay really enjoyed it. We went to a diner at the end of the night, and
Like easy, like back to basics, back to a return to form. And Johnny, you know, I got to tell you, you're on my mind a lot, because in moments like that, besides just wishing you were here.
Yes.
And then thinking about some of the memories we've had, that like I'm like, oh, like, and I remember that time you like couldn't get into Planet Pride for, remember that?
Yeah.
Like, and I think about these moments that like, if that happened to me and I couldn't be a part of the fun that I had decided I want to have, like you just heard me say, I left my closing party because I was like, I want to go to battle. Like I can sometimes veer a little too like, get me to the function because I just want to be there thing. And sometimes this weekend I thought about you, because when I had the Eagle night with Juan and Joey, I thought like, oh, you know, like Johnny's in Austin, and like you're so unbothered sometimes by not being at certain functions and things. You're having your fun. It's not like you're not making yourself, you're not like a fucking, you know, hermit. But I think about like, and he's fine, and then I feel better about like, you're fine, you know what I mean? Like I think about you, and I'm just like, Ian, like you're good, like wherever you go, there you are, and there's the party. Do you know what I mean?
And also like sometimes the party is not where you need to be, like that.
Yes.
You know, I feel like that's the thing. Sometimes we don't even really want to be at the party. We just want to feel that vibe of being at the party. You know what I mean? Like to be with people. And I was at dinner last night. I'm in Houston because I came with Joe and Jeremy, my friends from Austin, my best friends from Austin.
Friends of the pod.
And Philip, of course, my significant other. And we came to see Beyonce's hometown show. And we went out. We went out to like some Pride events here in Houston because it's Houston's Pride this weekend.
Oh,
shout out to
I
H-Town.
didn't realize that.
Yeah. And so we went out. We were out till like 4 or 5, you know,
I know, that's
in
right.
Houston. We went to like 3 different spots, and we went with our friend Mo and Max. And Mo's a local, so he was giving us the fierce treatment, the Ian treatment of going to the front of the door and we walk right in, and it's very nice. And then yesterday we just lazed about and watched TV, watched Drag Race, played some Fortnite, and then we went to a sushi dinner. And I was just at dinner and I was like, I'm just going to say this. I'm like, I'm so happy with my life. I was like, because pride for me is always like a barometer, a check-in for like how my life is going. And I was just like, I've done the party stuff where it's like party after party after party. It's like pride. We got to get out there. We got to do the thing. And I've reached the point in my life where it's like, I do want to go to a party every now and then, but I do want to sit and have sushi dinner and, be grown-ups as well and get the sake and, talk about life and, and even when we came back from the club, we like sat and talked about like really deep stuff. I love a deep and meaningful. So it was just really nice, like sometimes I don't go to the party. And like that year that you said I didn't get into Planet Pride, I went back to my hotel room. I ordered room service. I put my robe on and I had the most fierce night by myself. I might have gotten on Grindr a little bit, but I was still alone at the end of the
not
I wish I had a bob. I could shake it.
But I love being alone. I love quiet solitude. And I know both of you do as well. But sometimes it's like, do I want to be there? Do I want to be there? Or do I just want the feeling of being included and like I have a story to tell? But I've been to so many prides that I really did no pride this year except for this past weekend.
I didn't know her. I didn't know pride this year.
I did.
But you happened
proud.
upon one.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud to be out and about and gay and stuff like that. But
I was going to say one thing that'll make you both feel proud is one of the interactions with Ian, but we had multiple Tres Leches fan
encounters.
It was really
that.
sweet.
It was sweet. Can you remind us? Because my brain's a little foggy.
So outside of the Eagle at the end of the night, a total sweetheart whose name is going to come to me in 1 second. He was so nice, and Ian asked him. We mentioned that he was on the show, and
yes.
Ian was like, "What is Tres Leches about?" And actually,
not the quiz.
Ian asked that question to be like, can you describe it to us so that we have a sense of what you think the show is about and is? But I think at first he was like, it was like a purity test. Like, oh yeah, you listen? What is it about?
What's your favorite episode?
Yes, I think he then got it, but he calmed down with it. But he just celebrated the fact that he loved our blend of pop culture. He said literally, I love that you talk about love and romance and pop culture, and you do it through your the unique Latino gay lens, but it still feels, I think he may even said, accessible and easy to listen to. And it was just really, really sweet.
Yeah, and it was like you heard it, and I thought, okay, like okay, that's what we thought. That's what we thought we were giving. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a crazy surprise, and I didn't pay him to say those words. It was actually like, it was nice to just be like, okay, so it's giving authentic.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. Wait, Johnny, didn't you say that you had a moment with someone?
Yeah, I was at the bar with Philip, and someone just leaned over and said, "I love the podcast, and I just want to say I love what you guys do for the culture, just existing." And it's one of those things where it's like when people say that in public, you have to stop for a second and take it in. I try to take it in and be like, that's so sweet, because this person didn't need to say anything. They don't have to.
Oh, I know.
They could just be like, oh, there she is. But it was really nice, and it's also interesting getting approached in front of friends, because it's like you're like, oh yes, don't want to make it about me, don't. But then they're like, isn't that special that person said that? I'm like, yeah, it is. It never gets old when people acknowledge you. Like, even if you were like a lawyer and someone was like, that one case that you did, love that. You know what I mean? Like, it might be another lawyer that noticed it. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
yes.
But I just think it's
love a lawyer getting a compliment.
Yeah. So
yeah.
We appreciate you, Milkers.
We really, really do.
We really, really do.
Speaking of Milkers, you got your Milkers hat on.
Yeah.
I do. Oh my God! Speaking of, I wore it a lot, and I wore it yesterday to a little. I went to Animal in Brooklyn to meet John and Joey. Again, did different things. Like, you have two shows. You're like, oh, I can't really do anything, but I want to do daytimey things. So I biked my ass from Fort Greene to my apartment. I heated a Cook Unity, sponsor us. Food situation, really, really good. Shrimp, pasta, so good. And then I'm not kidding. I put on a different short. The shorts I'm pointing right now at a pair of shorts exactly where I took them off in the hallway by my bathroom. Haven't moved yet. And then I biked all the way back to Animal and met Joey and John, and we had this like little like 2-beer moment, just like outside chatting. And I was like, oh, I don't do this. Like the bar scene, I never do it.
Do people come up to you and say like, oh, what's milker? Are you a milker?
You know, no one did that yesterday, actually.
Oh.
But I think maybe they, you know, I don't know why. I don't know why. But
maybe they just assumed by the cummy look on your face.
Maybe. But I also wore it to battle him.
Juicy lips.
I wore it to battle him, and I was like at one point on the stairs, and I was just like having a moment with myself.
She loves to do
like
the hat
right.
thing where she like rings it really low.
Yeah.
She's
I mean,
so
if I have one,
mysterious.
yeah. God, that reminds me of one time at A House in P-Town, like last year, it was last year. When I tell you I was on the up and up, and I was just like Rob or whoever and Will and Matt, they were somewhere, and I'm like, I'm gonna be right here and dance.
These names, right?
These names. I'm gonna be by myself for a second.
Those.
Cause like there's another thing that I do. I don't know if you both like will have clocks that I do, but like when we're in a group sometimes out dancing, I turn around and I dance with myself, like, and I'm like looking at my shadow, because I'm just like, I don't know, it's fun anyway. And so people left me alone, I remember, and I was like, I'm gonna stay here, and I had a ball, like literally just like go dancing to myself, and then a boy came up to me who I've been with before, and like just started like met me with the dance, and I just remembered it. That was one of the sexiest moments ever. His name is Luke, such a hottie, and I was impressed because he's white and he could match me on the dance floor. You know, like it was like I was in it, and he just like came up behind me and like joined the dance. Do you know what I mean? Like it was perfect. Like you don't just like stop someone and dance and they're like, hey, like can I cut in with you? No, he just like slept. It was amazing. Anyway, but yeah, no one said anything about Milker last night either. But you know what? They could have been intimidated by
the prime.
The prime 112.
Only thing it's not grass fed.
So, but yes. So if you want your own Milkers hat, so I wore mine Friday night. I wore it at the Eagle.
Yes.
We're doing a collaboration with Yes Homo. They have other amazing things, but
So cool.
right now you can get a Milker hat, and it's cute. I mean, it's a little more discreet than like the Milker
Shirt.
You know, because
and
when
then-
you're wearing the Mommy Milker shirt, everyone knows you're a guzzler.
Yeah, I got a lot of people, straight men specifically.
They
were
want
like,
it.
Milker. I was like,
Yeah.
Like,
Read.
they're like,
Correct.
I feel like I know what that means. I'm like, good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Ian, what did you want to talk about today?
Yes. So, you know, I was thinking about last week, like what to do. We've been guesting a lot with amazing guests. And I realized, I was like, you know, Johnny, you don't live here. Juan is always busy. Like, I just had this moment where I realized I don't really know how you guys are doing. And we have our thread and we talk and we communicate kind of all the time, but also passively with just like a TikTok or like a thing that you know we were consuming that day, right? But I had this kind of like just thought around, I wanted to do a check-in about how we're all like doing. Some interesting things happened to me last week around some love, and so I wanted to chat about ways that you're both navigating your like overall health, like not just mental health, but it was like, you know, Juan, I know you're busy and you're working, and Pride and Jay, and he's not living here, and so I'm just like, how are you navigating? Is there something that is helping you through that? Is there something that you think you're overcompensating by? And so I thought it would be an interesting conversation to do like a check-in with my besties around our overall wellness, you know, and just like emotionally how we're doing. And Johnny, like, yeah, you know,
Wellness and the pursuit thereof.
correct.
I'll start since we were just mentioning, you know, I have been working. I started a new job in in September of last year, and I've worked more than I thought I was going to work. My hours have been more intense, and I have multiple jobs, but altogether, when you zoom out, I just did not expect to be working as much as I have been in the last 8 months, 10 months. And then on top of that, so that's been difficult, right? And stressful. And yet I have this new love and this beautiful new relationship. And so there's this like hot and cold, chiaroscuro thing going on, like good and bad. It's like I'm very grateful for my life. I'm a little bit resentful of my workload. And it's this tug of war. And what has really, really suffered is, and I had to eventually just like, Jesus, take the wheel, is my sleeping. Ooh, I mean, the lack of sleep in this past winter into spring was a disfiguring amount of sleep. You know, I was losing that so many hours that I was really starting to feel like I was losing touch with myself. And there's this, and I hate this, but it's this sense that the hours you have at night are to sleep are like hours almost that are keeping you that are preventing you from productivity, right? It's like that the famous internal memo that was shared around Netflix that was like our competition is not other streaming platforms or whatever else. Our competition is sleep.
Wow.
You know, the hours that the human brain will give us. And I think that that's something that I've really struggled with because I feel, as I've mentioned on the show, so my self-worth is often so tied up with productivity, success, money, achievement, glory.
Come on, capitalism.
No, yeah, really, exactly.
A Capricorn capitalist.
Great Gatsby down. Yes, exactly. The Capricorns are Capricorning. So consequently, I'm quick to give up like the bare essentials in order to pursue those things that I define my self-worth by. And at what point do you have to say, okay, is enough? And luckily, like, Jay has really helped because lately he's kind of made it impossible for me to not sleep. You know what I mean? He's really helped. But I'm also not trying to rely. I don't want to rely. I mean, listen, why else have a boyfriend or a partner other than to help make each other better, right? Absolutely. Right. Yeah. But I also don't want him to be like feel like he's the juggernaut of momentum that is making me do the things I need to do for me. I need to be the one who can drive that train a little bit. So I've really been trying to do that. And it's not just sleep, but it's also then in turn realizing that I'm 38 years old, right? I'm 38. Yeah, I'm 38. I'm 27 plus, actually. Yeah. That'll hopefully, yes, since I'm 27 plus, that whole portion will just be removed. Since I'm 27 plus, you realize that, like, yeah, you really gotta take care. You know, what is can
I guess? Are you gonna
please.
take care of your body? Mm-hmm. You and your body are going to be together for a very long time. I just can't
that's
believe
from
that I
Death
knew
Becomes Her. I was like, where is this from?
Yeah,
but he like barely got there, and I just felt
I just revealed the pin. Exactly. On Broadway, her name is Viola Van Horn, which is hilarious. But the character Viola Van Horn, played by
Isabella Rossellini.
Isabella Rossellini tells Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep, like, be careful with your bodies. You're going to be together. You're going to be together for a very long time. And I may not be together with this body as long for eternity. Yeah. But I do want to make sure that, like, I don't want to be in shambles.
Yeah.
As I go into my 40s. So my reconnection is like, okay, enough. Mm-hmm. What do I need to do to look the way I want to look? To feel the way I want to feel, to carry myself with the amount of energy through the day that I want to have, you know what I mean? And sleep, wellness, the gym, all of that is a part of that. I really do wish that I did not define my self-worth by money, success, and achievement. And I also wish I didn't relate it to how I look so much. And I really wish it weren't like that. And, you know, therapy helps and I'm doing the work, but I'm also 38. So like, you know what? If that matters to you that much, you got to work on it, right? Because if you're going to be heartbroken every day because you feel uncomfortable in your body, then it might be, as long as it's a healthy thing, healthy-ish, as long as it's not too toxic, let's put it that way. As long as it's toxic, it's good to do so.
I get what you mean. Where like you're like, I want to try to turn this into something that I'm empowered by rather than which is great. But my question, I think, is like, do you have evidence to point towards the fact that that your body or your look is not worthy? Like, and I'll ask in the sense that how do you feel in front of Jay?
Oh, fantastic.
How does he, I don't want to say make you feel, but like in reaction to him, when you see yourself through him in his eyes, like what is he giving? It's
amazing. A man has never made me feel the way Jay makes me feel. Never.
Which is, what are the words? Can you describe it?
So impossibly beautiful, just perfectly shaped in every way for him. That's how he makes me feel. I mean, every day. I mean, he has never said a negative thing, and yet I don't feel like he's lying.
Yeah.
It feels grounded, and I feel like everything he says I really believe, and it's a beautiful feeling. But just, you know, that doesn't chop off the head of the little demon on my shoulder that has like my own obsession with body and everything else. And I think that's coming from having been a performer and, you know, just growing up in Latin culture, a lot of those things that just are so presentationally based that are so written into my constitution. But it's been amazingly helpful to think about exactly what you're saying, and like, this man loves me. Oh, you know, like what else do I need? But, you know, I also want to feel like, you know, it's okay that to also have my own goals on it.
Yes, I didn't want it to. I wasn't really saying like it's only if the man who you have sees you that way, then nothing matters. I just meant like you know, we do talk and we talk on it. I just loved that you ended up saying he makes me feel impossibly beautiful, and like I bought that, like you felt that. So it was just like, you know, as long as you have that current of appreciation and adulation from your partner, like that's the most important place to have it first. And then you just, so it's just like nice. It's like you should have that. So just as a reminder that like you are seen as a beautiful person, and from me and from John, you know, anyway, we're not getting savvy about it, but.
Well, I don't want to like therapize you in any way, but I do, this is something I noticed with you, but I also noticed with Ian, and I noticed with myself, is that sometimes it feels as though we feel that we need to earn permission to just be in joy, like in stillness. Because it's like, when I think of Juan, like on a daily basis, I feel like he, to me, feels like a White House staffer. Like everything is breaking news. Everything is, we've got to do it now. It's, you know, there's chaos, but there's like, it's like, this is the way I work, you know, this is the way and I feel like that is sometimes because I don't think it's cosplay. I think it's actually real, but I think we forget to zoom out and be like, let me sit and not need to be anywhere, you know, like we're just so used to needing to be productive, even when we're not paid to be, you know, like, okay, now I have to relax the hardest way I can relax. Like I have to like really, like, you know, we have to do it in like 100%. And I've been noticing lately, like because of therapy, and he clocked me on that and was like, you don't need to earn joy. You know, you don't need to earn like just doing whatever the fuck you want to do. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. So like, if you want to, you know, jerk off 3 times a day, you do that, you know, like if it becomes an issue, it becomes an issue. Sure. But like, stop critiquing yourself for every little emotion, every little feeling that you have. And I was in, I did a pottery class with Philip. I like scheduled a date for us to do like a surprise pottery class. And I did not think it was going to be so transformative in this class. Like it was a basics in pottery class, but the way the man with the teaching of what he was saying hit home so much. Like one of the first things he said was, and now remember, this is supposed to be fun. And I like Philip looks right at me and I was like, oh, she clocked me. Like I felt so
you were about to compete,
because I was about to try and make the most perfect pottery class, like my first time around. Like I was going to be the best. I was going to, make something that I was going to be proud of. And he's like, you have to realize that like, this is your first time at the wheel and you're going to make so many mistakes. And if you keep trying to mold that clay to be perfect, it's not going to be perfect. Like it's never going to be perfect. And also, what is perfect? And then he did this thing, which I thought was so fascinating. He made his version of the perfect vase, right? Like a little potter. And then he like stopped the wheel or shook the wheel. And then one side caved in a little bit. And he said, now that piece went from $20 to $55 because of its very unique imperfection.
I just
oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, this is so true. Like, because it's true. If I would have seen that at the store, like perfect, I'd be like, oh, that's cute. But it's seeing it like in a very imperfect way. It's like, oh, wow, there it is. So it's like, I've been really leaning into that in my own life of like not doing anything, not needing to be anywhere. My bills are paid. Yes. So, and it's funny because sometimes we feel like, okay, I'm not making enough money. I have to make more money. And it's like, you talked about your age. And I was like, at what point do we allow ourselves to say, maybe this is enough for right now? Maybe, yes, I do want more, but maybe this is enough. Like, maybe I'm proud of myself, actually, that I'm living a life that 10 years ago, I would have been like, God, I wish I could just have that with that man or by myself. And, like even Ian saying like doing my show and then going to the party and like, just like, I feel like we need to be more proud of where we are and who we are, because at what point, life is, we only have one,
It's interesting you said about the pride thing. Like I posted a how proud I am, happy pride post on Instagram. And it's funny, like when I wrote the words down and then I posted it, I felt proud. Like I just because like, you're like, yeah, it's pride and blah, blah. And I was just doing the show and like, I wasn't present with like, how am I feeling about pride rather than just like pride is happening. Like what that all can like, party mean. And like when I wrote, I was like proud of who I am, proud of who I get to be loved by. Like, and I just thought like, well, when you declare it and you write it, in a journal, let alone post it on Instagram, there was something energetically that was really, it gave me a really good boost yesterday, because then I thought about like, wait, I really am though. Like, and it's just kind of, it's piggybacking what you're saying, that like, it's kind of what happens when we're at Coachella. It's that feeling of like, we're all a little bit more open on these very important weekends that make you feel like everything is okay. And where you are right now is like enough,
Yeah.
That's why holidays and those things are so important.
Exactly.
They summon that type of behavior. Christmas does giving, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
These are
I do
days
that
in
with
which
just putting on a shoe, but every day. But I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think like the little celebrations and day to day. Like I went to Target the other day because Philip and I went to a restaurant and it was a restaurant that had games. So while we were waiting for our food, we played Uno with each other. And I was like, oh, we should do that. We should get like Uno to have at the house, like in case we want to like play together. So I went and got Uno. And then I like was walking by the game section and there was like a bunch of puzzles. And I was like, oh my God, I love puzzles. I just said it. I was like, I love puzzles. Why am I not doing puzzles? Like, so I bought my box of puzzles and like I went home, I put it up, set it up at the counter. And then Philip's playing Fortnite and I'm doing the puzzle. And I thought to myself, like, this is what I work for. This is what I strive for, is for this moment of peace. And, it's I was talking to my therapist about this, and I was like, we're always looking for joy. We're looking for like, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. And he's like, do you know that most people's search for happiness, it's not verbatim what he said, but most people's search for happiness is just they're seeking the escape from anxiety. Like, it's not so much that they want to be happy, it's that they don't want to feel the dysfunction, the hurricane. And I was like, I think I started crying when he said that, because I'm like, oh my God, it's so true. It's not that we aren't happy, it's that we're so used to, and that's why, like, you know, I've, like Ian said in our group chat, like, I've taken my 15th social media sabbatical. But I realized, like, you know, I go on like in the morning and at night mostly, or if I post something, but I don't stay online because there's like a constant, waterfall of information that I feel like really makes a lot of noise in my brain that doesn't need to be there. And I think that's why I've been so like adamant about like taking the pottery class, making the puzzles, going to Barton Springs in Austin, which is like, you know, a natural spring where people just go and lay out, because I don't, you know, especially with what's going on in the world, like we don't know what's going to happen. And instead of predicting in my head every day with the timeline, I'd rather just live my life, because I don't know how long I have. You know, and I don't mean that in like a really scary, sad way. I just mean it in a like, I want to be able to be on my deathbed and said, you know, I really gave enjoying my life a shot, you know?
Yes. You just made me think about Jon Stewart was a guest on Trevor Noah's podcast, What Now? And
What now?
What now?
What was that?
Using IP. And John talks about, they have this moment about like how John is kind of like a hermit, or at one point like the whole gag is, you know, he never was out, and if he was, it was like, oh, like why is he out, right? And he's like, I like being at home, and I used to make a lot of furniture. He doesn't anymore because he's in a different home. And he talks about how the using of your hands and being in the space and making something in that way was his way. It was his puzzle. It was his pottery class. And it's why I love cooking. And like when he said it, I was like, oh, that's why I love it, because it's the meditation.
Yeah.
It's the, you do the, you know, like, oh, it's that, chop wood, carry water. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that. You know, you just in the doing of the chop wood, carry water, the thing will fix itself. You will learn, you will feel what you need to feel, right? So I'm just like happy you're having those moments, like, because that is healing.
Yeah. I was on the phone with Trace, my friend, and I was doing the puzzle, and she was on FaceTime. She's like, you are the only bitch I know that does a puzzle. I was like, yeah. And then I said like a joke, like, oh, this is so old person of me. And then I was like, actually, what it is, and again, therapy, I discussed this. I was like, I think it's just me trying to return to what I loved as a child. Yes. And what I loved as a child was doing puzzles. And like these, like the idea of going to a pottery class, I always wanted to do that in school, but like I didn't go to a school that had that kind of department.
Yeah.
And it's like going back to those childlike joys that like you like go get away from when you start to become a teenager and a young adult, because you're like doing the things that you think you're supposed to do to be an adult. Yes. And I think getting older and like retiring is partly returning to your childlike self, like saying, you know what, I worked, and now I'm going to enjoy. And I think we just have to get better at enjoying before the retirement comes, because then you don't know how much longer you have with that retirement check. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's like for me, I have to get back. I've already told myself, like, I must get into a casino salsa dancing, but casino is like when you're like, people dance in a circle and you switch partners from partner to partner to partner. It's called casino. There are so many places to do it in New York. I love casino dancing. I love it. I never do it. Here, I've only done it like with my cousins and in Miami and years ago, because I haven't lived in Miami for 20 years. Like the last time I really did it, was when I was in like doing the 15s circuit, when people were doing their quinceañeras, and I was in other people's like quinceañeras in their quinceañera courts.
Yes.
So that was the last time I did it, and there's so many places in New York, and I realized like that would be a very nutritious thing for me to do, but I have created an ecosystem in which I don't really have hobbies anymore.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't really have any hobbies. I used to play games when I was a kid, and then as an adult, I've like created a thing in my personality where I don't like games.
Yes, you have.
And I don't really love them. But but I'm going to try to enjoy them because it is a fun thing to do. As long as someone else is maintaining the rules and they can look at the cards and put them down and up for me, I want to play.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I know, yes, for sure.
I'm not playing that Catan show.
Play itself is super important as adults. Like we don't, when we were kids, how we used to like go run through the woods, just go run through the woods and like play, or like go on the playground and like play whatever, and I feel like that's why I love when, people get together and have game nights, or like, go on a vacation in a cabin and they have like charades or celebrity. And it's like, because you're bringing that joy that is untapped, that you're not allowed to access in your 9 to 5 day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which actually makes your 9 to 5 a little easier because you're sustaining your energy by playing, and whatever play means to you. It could be a massage, it's just like treat yourself.
Our pursuit of fierceness, of fun, of everything has prevented us from being able to enjoy the simpler things. She's gonna kill me for saying this, but when we were in high school, one of my dear friends, Christina Machado, she's one of my best friends. I had a dear friend group called JARCs: Juan, Ali, Christina, Rebecca, and Sloan. And Christina with a K.
And there would be like a LGBTQ an I plus I for Ian,
Plus
like
I
on
for
occasional
Ian.
sushi
Exactly.
nights. Yeah.
There was exactly JARCist. Listen, we were like spoiled rich kids, so like we did whatever the hell we wanted. But like when Christina, if Christina we didn't go out, and like the mayor of Miami Beach didn't come and meet us at the entrance, and we did not go hand in hand with Gloria Estefan on stage and perform 14 songs and then travel to Las Vegas overnight and do so in a new Louis Vuitton outfit. If we hadn't had that kind of night, it was a bad night. So I used to say, like, if we don't get the keys to the city tonight, we're going to have a bad night. And I think that is part of our generation, is the idea that, like, there is so much emphasis on, like, the superlative, excitement, the most, the best. And needing to do that kind of often makes it difficult to enjoy the mundane, right? And then we're social media, which makes us want to always look the best, be the best, do the best, all of that. Can we just stay at home and wear a t-shirt, please, in silence? Can we just wear an extra large Sade t-shirt and enjoy a cup of tea?
Right.
Is anyone drinking tea these days?
Robert Paget.
Oh, is he enjoying tea?
He loves tea.
I want to
He
start
drinks,
getting
like,
into
13
tea.
cups a day, and I'm like, Dad, like because my parents stayed with me, stupid aside, but like they were here for 4 days. It was great. I have new plants because of my mom, and it was just like nice to have them in the space. But I was like, Dad, like what is your nutrition journey? Like a piece of cheese, some bread. I don't eat much. I'm like, okay, like yes, you look good, but like you could look better if you had protein. And then he's just like, more tea. He's like drinking tea at 8 p.m. And it's one of those things where he's just like, oh, it does nothing to me anymore. And I'm like, you are not smarter than your body, Dad. I mean, like kind of, but like we all
That man
are.
is 89 and looks the way he does. I think he knows what he's doing.
I know.
Give him
A
a
estas
break.
alturas.
A estas alturas. You're right.
Me vas a decir algo, please.
But that's also the thing. Like we're in our 27 plus years, so we're like, you gotta be careful. You gotta maintain. It's like we're also like putting our own anxiety sometimes on our parents, like
Yes,
because we want them to
eat like us.
I realize I've like my mom she walks every morning now, and she sends us a picture every morning of her walking so that we hold her accountable.
Love it.
And I realize I've kind of like not been checking in on her and her health and stuff, because I'm like, look at her doing that for herself, and it also kind of like makes me think like, oh, she's doing that every morning. I'm going to start doing 30 minutes of cardio every day. And like, I hate cardio. I really do. But like, that's also the thing that I'm like, why do I hate it? Why do I give myself that kind of like, this is who I am? I hate that. You know, just like Ian the other day was like, I think you would like swimming. And I was like, I hate swimming, you know? And I'm like, wait, why do I say that?
Exactly.
I'm like,
Care for what you say. Yes.
you know,
so
and I'm
important.
like, I need to just stop saying, I don't do that. I hate this. I am not that. Because I say that to people all the time. I'm like, what if you change that mindset? You know, like, so it's like, why don't I do that? You know, and then I go swimming and I scrape the bottom of my chin because I'm like too close to the floor. But alas,
Yeah, but listen, that's how
Well,
you
but
make.
that was just a
you
little.
live and you learn.
Yeah, you live and you learn, and you make your ancestors proud. You know what I mean?
Right.
I will say I didn't realize I was doing it, but with leg day, I'd always be like, leg day, favorite day. Oh my God, it's my favorite day. And I always say that, and people are always like, you're crazy. Like that's everyone, I hate leg day, hate leg day. And I'm
I
always like,
love
yeah,
leg
so
day.
you will continue to hate leg day. But when I say leg day is my favorite, I have tricked myself. Because it is like I just know it's so satisfying, and I'm like, no one is doing it the way I'm doing it at the gym, right? Whatever is the I do
Whatever
this
gets
thing
you through the
sometime-
workout, honey.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just a Miranda Priestley. Nobody can do what I do. I say that to myself a lot when
It's
I
two
was at the gym.
45-pound plates, and he's like, Equinox is not ready for this. And he,
Oh my God! Actually, yesterday was
You
two
do
on each
be-
side.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I bring up that like I do think there is a mind tricky thing that's happened there, because now it is just this thing I do, and it is my favorite, and it doesn't mean it's not hard. I'm not saying I trick myself out of the effort that it's going to take to do the thing, but you go, I understand that this is what it is, and I like it. Like I make it so that there's fun and play in some way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
The gamification of it a little bit. in
A
your
little
brain.
bit, yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
And that's the thing, like words mean things, they turn into
matter.
things. So it's like, if we're like, that's why like I've made it such a point to be like, God, I love my life right now, you know, to like
Yeah.
really, because not only is it true, but it's like, I think it's important to say out loud. I think it's important to like, you did really great in that today, you know. And also I notice I've been so like, I need to do this, I need to be working, I need to be making money. I was like, but the checks are coming in. Maybe they're not that big, but I also, you know, I'm living in a different city now, and like my money goes a lot further. I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Oh my
to
God.
be able to give myself that space to be like, but it's like, I could also go like, I should be in New York or LA. I should be working. But I'm like, and that will happen. But like, who knows what will happen? Like, enjoy this quiet moment right now and like get back to who you are. Because I think that's also the thing, as millennials, sometimes we kind of define ourselves by our careers, or maybe not just millennials, but like, you know, our generation and before, you know, it's like,
Motivated.
we're only as good as our last job. We're only as good as our paycheck. We're only as good as our status symbol. And I think also being in smaller towns, sometimes you see how happy people are with, I don't want to say less, because I feel like it is a lot for them, you know, but I feel like sometimes you live in a city like New York where everything's big, big, big. And it's like, I got to be big, big, big. I got to do big things. I got to be with big people. I got to, you know, it's like, how like overwhelming can that be for a small little mind every day?
But you know, and we're actors. Like Juan, you may be not in front of the camera right now, but like we're all performers, and so there's this, you know, work hard, make your parents proud, fear that you won't have enough coming in. You know, it's just like we're human. We want things for ourselves, and we live in a world now where social media doesn't help at all, because you are just seeing the highlight reel, blah blah blah. So it's like the way to combat the hyperfixation on productivity is to include play.
Radical optimism, Dua Lipa.
Yeah, exactly. Do la peeps. But that's why sometimes I hound you two when we're threading or doing stuff, and like I'm always doing bits, because I just like want us to play all the time. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want to play. Like I want to just like, I want to get lost in a thing and see where it goes, because it alivens me. It makes me feel good. It makes me laugh. Like it's why I'm so desperate to want to always want to be funny or do bits and like see if people meet me there and all that kind of stuff. Like that's a thing that I crave, I think, is like and I don't maybe always I access it with you too, and I think that's what's so fun about what we get to do here. But can I share something that happened last week? Not the being stood up at the boy's house at 4 a.m. after I took a $65 Uber there. Although we can talk about that, but I've made my peace with that. And I have to say, so listeners, just really real quick. A person I have hooked up with before I saw at the Eagle, and then I left first, and I'm getting pizza with Joey and Juan, blah, blah, blah. And then I get a text. It's like, you should have slept over. And I was like, I said that. It felt like you said no.
My dear.
Can I come over? Yes, you can. So you're like, and we have like a connection, and they're in a relationship, but like we have a thing, like we like each other. Yeah. And so I go there. No one's answering the door. I wait a little. And the reason I waited longer than any other person I think in the world is because we had this
the
connection.
Shorthand of it.
Yeah, and I had trusted him. That was the biggest thing. It's like,
it's not your freshman year.
Yeah, and like we were supposed to have breakfast the next morning, and it just so happened it was happenstance that we bumped into each other at the Eagle, and it was like nice, and we were making it like it seemed so odd that there was a standing up of like, oh, you're now ignoring me, and I really do think like there's the simplest answer, which is he did fall asleep, and I'm not going to let the friend be a representation of him, like the friend who came down and was getting Postmates and there were 2 Cokes, and it's like, but you can order food and then pass the fuck out. It's both, and I was grateful to be able to say it to Juan and to say it to Johnny, because Johnny was giving me like, bitch, you better not answer that, and da-da-da-da. Like I needed that. I needed the friend to be like, to affirm my anger, but then I also needed Joey to be like, oh, like the second I sent him the text of like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, this doesn't excuse it, I crashed out so hard I was sleeping. Joey goes, oh, okay, so it was a misunderstanding. Good to know. Like that was very odd. And it's so hilarious that I have a friend who sees it like that, and then I have other friends who like, we ramp up in ways that help us feel justified in our feelings, right? All these things.
Joey was very kind in that.
A misunderstanding, you tell a bitch to come over and then you don't answer the door?
It was odd.
Okay.
I know. I'm just saying, but I'm at peace with it in the sense that like I'm not going to text it. No, I know, but I'm not gonna like text him or anything like that. And like it threw me off because I wrote in my journal around like what is it about it that is grinding my gears, and it's like this sense of control. You feel like, oh, I had trust in this person. I had an idea, and I told a friend of mine at a party on Saturday, and he was like, Ian, like you are such a great person. Like you're so open, and like. I know you think that that's what that all was, but like that's a really dick move thing to do. And like he said, he's like, you need to be more skeptical. And I was like, that's so funny you say that, because I in the last month / like 2 months have been trying to not be the skeptical person. I've actually been trying to throw myself into the overly tender, the mushy, like someone who goes, hey, I will come to the Beyonce concert with me, like the guy I was talking to in Chicago. And like I was on purpose and deciding to be someone who was like, hi, bub, and like, like I was trying to nurture that thing and water a garden.
Doing the scary thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like just leaping and seeing if the net will stay. And, that person and I actually are no longer going to be talking, because he sent me a text and he's like, I want to focus on my mental health. And there's just a lot of stuff going on with me, but I really appreciate like how we've gotten to know each other. And, because we were trying to see each other, and he was going to maybe come here before going to P-Town and all that stuff. And like, I noticed how nice that felt to be vulnerable with someone and to like do the risky thing, like and show someone you like them and tell them you like them, right? At the risk of them telling you they don't, and surviving that, whatever. And it was interesting because like that had happened on like Wednesday or Thursday, and I was a little bummed, but I also just thought he was so forthright with what he needed, and I was like, I completely understand. I'm like, I'm so thankful you told me, and just know that like I'm just like happy we know each other, and like I think like the world of you. And he was like, I knew you would understand. And I don't know, it was just this really beautiful adult way of like saying, you live there, I live here, and we're gonna focus on where we are. And I thought about what happened with the getting stood up thing, at night, and I was like, oh, it's just a sense of control and this feeling of like, I got in my head around maybe I do need to start holding again. Maybe I do need to be more skeptical, and I hate that
No.
it made me think that.
That's not the answer. The answer is just you were disrespected. This other guy that said the very thing, the rejection, right? Because that's what ultimately sometimes it feels like. But
That's
it's
what it was,
rejection with kindness. It's there's a respect for your time and for how you feel versus when someone tells you to come over and then they like fall asleep and there's Postmates coming to their door and there's 2 Cokes. Like that feels like a disrespect. That feels like you don't respect my time. You don't respect me. For me to be standing on this sidewalk, waiting for you to respond to the text, you feel disrespected. So it's like, that's what I don't feel like people don't understand. It's like ghosting is disrespectful because people are so used to not being able to say, hey, I think we're better as friends, or hey, I'm going to focus on me, or hey, I'm dating this other guy. People are so used to just saying, if I ignore it enough, it'll go away.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not going to go away because that person's going to think you're a dick. And maybe you don't care about being perceived as a dick, but most people do. You know what I mean? And most people just want to push things under the rug, but eventually that dirt is going to show up, you know?
Yeah.
I just add that what you endured in that fiasco is a very, very horrendous feeling. It is it's a Sex in the City worst case scenario, like gay rom-com situation, and it's so embarrassing and yucky and terrible.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I actually don't think it was the most vulnerable act. You felt it made you, what happened, what he did, opened up your heart to a lot of vulnerability and like ugh. But you going there was not vulnerable. That's why it's disrespectful. Because. And that's why the misunderstanding thing is a little bit, I don't want to couch it with too much kindness and warmth.
Yeah.
Because it was not a vulnerable act because this is your second at bat. You already
Been to the house.
Yes, exactly. You were already up at the plate against this pitcher.
Right.
Okay. So you were back up on the mound.
Yeah.
So this was more of a sure thing. It should have been.
Yes.
So I found it to be so. That's particularly why I think, it's like people who go on 6 dates and then they get ghosted versus like being ghosted after the first date when you've had expectations of like, well, we know each other, bitch. Like we know each other. You know me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why I found that situation to be it was so quintessentially a New York love and romance horror story, and nobody deserves that. No one.
And that's why, like, when I responded, when this person texts like saying, I'm sorry, there's no excuse or whatever. And I was like, do not reply. Not because I want to be like sassy, bitchy Johnny, but I feel like we really do teach people how to treat us. And by removing contact from this person, you're really sending a message like, no response is a response, just like no answering the door is, a response. It's something. And it's like, I'm not trying to be petty. I'm not trying to, but it's like, I'm not responding to this text message right now because 1, I was disrespected. 2, I'm going to show you that that's not how you treat me. Whether you meant it or did not mean it, that is not up for me to decide. What the way I felt was earned, and my feelings are my feelings. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like and this is not against Joey because I think that at best it was a misunderstanding and at worst it was a blatant disrespect, but your feelings, no matter where that spectrum is, are valid. You know what I mean? You can feel a way about someone's good intention. You know what I mean? But I think like your protection, and it's also sometimes like that happened and you probably were like, well, this is what happens when, and it's like, no, you don't need to
think it was on me.
Correct. And it's like, that's not but that's also like our defense mechanism is like, if I didn't do this, if I hadn't done that, and sure, we could, explain away all of our, our side of it. But I really just think like, ultimately you just have to protect your own peace. And I don't know that litigating what happened with this person was the best way to go about it, which, I know sometimes I could come across like, fuck that bitch, she's dead now. Like, that's really just like the fun of it all. Like, but ultimately what I'm saying is protect yourself because that's not, the way you were treated was not okay, and
I have been I have been throwing myself into a little bit of like, oh, like there's a good intention there. Like I've ascribed and I think it's nice. I'm like, but then I'm like, am I overly, am I regressing in terms of my discernment? Like, am I being overly naive for the sake of someone's connection just because it feels nice and because they looked at me and like, oh, I like the way you, do you know what I'm talking about? Like you get lost in maybe the idea.
We give people the benefit of the doubt when they are what we want.
But I don't think you were deluded in what you were seeking.
I don't think so
night.
either. I know. I'm just saying, like, you know,
But it's possible, yeah.
It's you get a little like when a moment like that happens, and you feel embarrassed, and you feel like, well, wait, like there's 2 Cokes, and then the guy who came down, he was like, he's sleeping. I'm like, okay, we were just texting, and then we're just kind of standing, looking at each other. It was so weird, like 2 dogs.
Am I crazy?
Yeah, that's how I felt.
And
also
that tone, he's sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like sleeping
Oh,
really
so
hard.
you knew I was coming over.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so that feeling of
And
like
Katy Perry's on the road. Both things can be true.
Exactly. So then you go, oh, it just, my brain got turbulent around like, oh my God, like, are they laughing about me up there? Like, oh my God, I can't believe he's still down there. Like, you know, that whole thing. And
what if they were?
It's fine. It's just, I'm saying it felt icky in the moment. You feel, I felt degraded, you know, and then I was like upset at the moment, and I was upset at him, and then like you go like, oh, like Ian, like, I don't know. Then you start to give yourself the note and the judgment so that you know what I mean? Just so that, because you're trying to correct and you're trying to control and try to figure out like, okay, well, maybe it was this. So, you know, it's
That's
just
such a gay boy way of self-soothing, because like when people have disrespected us our whole lives, we internalize it and we're like, well, if I just were more masculine, or if I didn't do this, or if I didn't like do this, then maybe I would be loved. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's why I always say baseline, you are worthy of love no matter what. And that's why like you can't internalize that, because it's not your issue. Like maybe he was too tired. That's his issue. But he made it your issue. You know what I mean? But it's not yours to then take on and take home like a backpack like of shame. Totally. You know, like, oh, maybe he would never have done this to so-and-so. Like, would he do this to, you know, it's like that is noise that does not belong to you. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, oh, this bitch is trying it. You leaving me outside for 5 minutes or however long? Oh, I'm pumping it. I don't care if I you know what I almost told you to do? It was to send him a Venmo request for $65.
I thought about like
That part.
yeah,
Because if it was a misunderstanding and you're so sorry, there's no excuse for it. Pay me my money, bitch.
yeah. But
You know?
luckily, my bills are paid, and I don't need to ask a man for money to. Get
No,
me
no,
to and
it's
fro.
but
no,
it's
I
not
know,
that.
but
You know, it's very much like, oh, if you are sorry, show me, bitch, pay me.
yeah,
You know,
yes, I do know.
it's very
I do
doll
know.
mentality of me. You know,
I love it. No, but and that level of doll mentality is like everyone could use a
little bit of that.
a little bit of that, and I'm that's why I'm so thankful. You know, like I shared it with you guys because I maybe wouldn't have, because I think I would have been embarrassed. I think to even share it specifically with you, Johnny, because I think you're gonna be like, Ian, like I don't think you would think this, but this is what my brain does, is like, oh, because you're so like stand up for yourself, that I have this story to tell is like, Ian, what is going, you know, that there would be criticism, or that you would think like, just let me say this word, it's not actually the thing, but like, Ian, you're like kind of pathetic. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And so I was like, I'm not going to share it with the friend who will actually get me together about it and actually maybe make me feel more impacted. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that level of like I don't know,
put you in your head more.
a little bit, yes. Because because sometimes how you give advice or what you say can be a little like, well, it's just like this, blah, 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 a little bit. And so I'm like, oh, I didn't want abrasiveness, but then I was like, no, I'm going to share how I feel about it, and then blah blah blah. Like,
But that's why I also said like, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
guy's
yeah.
a dick.
No,
because, you know, obviously I could be like, pick yourself up, bitch. How dare you wait for some man outside? Da da da. But then I put myself in your shoes, and I think, you know, like, that sucks. Whether you were waiting outside for however long, whether you know, he sent you a bunch of text message saying, come. He said, come, period. You know, you know this man. And ultimately, none of it matters. What matters is that your feelings were hurt. And to acknowledge that is the first step, the most important step. And then the, like, you know, you're a bad bitch, like all of that comes later.
Yeah.
But that is really born out of me the reason why I am that friend to you is because I know where you go in your head. You know what I mean? I don't like to coddle people, unfortunately, because I don't coddle myself. And that's my own issue. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the one that's like, you have 24 hours to cry about this, and then you are moving on. And my therapist is always like, well, why only 24 hours? And I'm like, well, because because we move on. And he's like, but you're not really moving on because it's still with you. You're just powering through it. So I've been trying to soften my approach, you know, to just admit the thing like, hey, this sucks, period, regardless of anything else. So, but I appreciate you sharing that feedback because it always, to me, comes from a place of like, get up, girl. We got this. You know what I mean? And then you have Joey who's like, hey, you know, it's probably a misunderstanding. And that is what's so wonderful about friendships is that you have a community to support you in the ways in which they can.
Yeah.
And they bring to you the context of their coconut.
Yeah.
You know?
And sometimes, you know, I get lost in what I was feeling and I wrote it all down and that was really helpful. Like when I was at the show and I was pretty, it's interesting how your brain, as you start to write, like, I'm feeling this and like the stream of consciousness gets you to one simple truth at the end. I can't remember what it is because it's on my phone, but that was also really helpful. And I was like, oh, I did that for me. Like I knew something was popping up like internally. So like no one's going to be able to help suss that out except for you.
For you, yeah.
And it was really, really helpful. And it didn't really stay with me past like how we're talking about it, because to me, it's not like it's weighing on me. To me, it's like, I like to talk about this and and it feels like my story sharing, and sometimes I get nervous about, but I just know is helpful. Like and talking about it just only helps me understand more a thing I learned or the misstep in the way that I share my life, and is why I'm scared to share some of my life online or talk about, is because it's vulnerable, you know, to be like, this is what really happened, even though I love talking about it because of let's get the insides. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, so there's this way that I just,
because if you were just the person that's like, I'm in my prime right now, I've never looked this good, and you didn't also caveat that with, and then I got rejected. Like the reason we love characters like Carrie Bradshaw and Charlotte York and Miranda are because we see their power and then we see their vulnerability at the same time. And we see ourselves in that because we're all a mirror of each other. Like when you're telling this story, I'm thinking about a time where I've been rejected, maybe not in the same way, but in a way that felt disrespectful to my core. You know what I mean? And what did I tell myself and how did I feel? And this is also probably why I'm so adamant to say, do not reply to that person, because I have been the person that's like, no, I totally understand. And then I felt like I gave a piece of my power because I'm like, I actually don't feel that way. Why did I say that? Why did I say, oh, it's okay, no worries. No worries if not. Yeah. Like, yes, worries if not, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, and that's
full of worries, actually.
You should be. And that's why I'm like, put that worry on him. Like, how are you going to give me the $65, Miss Dane?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, not even a decade, a few years ago, if you had asked me if you should ever see him again, I would have said, well, how's the...
Right.
El palo como está? I would have thought that. But, you know, nowadays it's like, I don't...
You know how many follows
so
are
much
out there?
BB. Exactly. There's just
the
so
other
much
thing.
BB.
It's like there's so much, and that's what I noticed is like, oh, like I ascribed so much weight to him, but also because I think it hurt, you know, like in the moment. So you're like, oh, like it's so. But baby, I met someone on Saturday at the day party at my friend's house down the street, and I joked about this with John and Joey because, like, you know, there's a awkwardy Carrie thing that I do my bits of like I'm Diane Keaton, I'm Goldie Hawn, and I'm Sarah Jessica most of the time. And for the first time in a long time, I'm like this with my friends, but with a boy, I was having a conversation with someone and I was talking just as Ian. And I wasn't like looking into his eyes to see if, but there was no testing, there was no performance. It was just like, oh, so like, what do you like to do? Yeah, and we just had this like very casual conversation, and I walked away and I was like, oh, that was so nice. Like, he's so cute. I like how he's dressed, like all the things. And I went back to chatting with my friends, and I knew I had to leave in like 20 minutes. And I like turned around and I saw him there, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna give him my phone. So I like gave him my phone, and I tapped him, and he turned around and he like grabbed it. His group stops and is like watching the whole moment. He takes the phone, he's putting his phone number, and I come back and I'm like, I'm just gonna let him do that. Rob looks at me with like side eye, like, oh, you did that? And I'm like, yeah. And there's this person that like I met, and I'm fine. You know what I mean? And like we're gonna have we're chatting and
rinse and repeat.
Like, yeah, you're just like you move on, and you know the not happening with the Chicago boy, and like with what happened with the being stood up thing. Like I am not closing.
Right.
I'm staying open. I'm like, and if
I'm
anything,
gonna wash that man right out of my head.
Yes, come on with the musical theater reference.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I gave Johnny.
He's coming out.
Yeah, he's coming out. I didn't give Johnny necessarily a note, but I was giving him like a like, Johnny, I really like when you like, you know, show us your silliness and your musical theater knowledge, because it's like, it's so fun, you know? Anyway, but yes, I did wash that man right out of my head. And what I think is good is the more you stay open and the more at-bats, to quote Juan. So like with Mike in Chicago, who I like adore, and you know, it's not happening in right now, but I trained myself to see what that felt like. So I know what it feels like, because now I do it. I'm that person now. I trusted this boy Juan, also is what his name, you know, and like there was this little break, but like I came to this party and it didn't stop me from like meeting someone new. Anyway, but yeah, I'm so sorry, you guys. We lost Johnny due to some technical difficulties.
Yes.
But he's probably just doing his puzzle, and we love him.
Yes,
and,
we do.
And I'm so happy that like we had this conversation. I think it was like very nutritious for me.
Oh yes, a Tres Leches returned to form.
Just
us gals.
It was lovely. Like, I hope this was as nutritious and, you know, good of a listen for you guys, the Milkers. As always, it means the world that we get to come here and like share our lives in this very intimate way with you, and so we don't take that for granted. And we'll see you on the next one.
The next time, I think we have to do that Modern Love. We had an episode of Modern Love that from the New York Times that we just found totally titillating.
Oh,
and it's
absolutely.
About loneliness and men and ghosting. It kind of is the perfect way to continue this conversation.
Yep. The at-bats of it all.
Mm-hmm. The at-bats of it all.
I love it. I why are you laughing?
No, it's just funny. I love that metaphor so much.
It's so good.
So
I love that metaphor, the feature, not a glitch. Like, so many things you've said, so many kernels. I love you very much.
I love you all. And we love
Johnny,
you all.
I
love you.
And we love you. And happy Pride.
¡Qué rico!